Hello and welcome to another interesting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a step-by-step tutorial on how I was able to achieve this palazzo trouser you can see. Now, let me quickly show you some details of this trouser. This has a cargo pocket, as you can see it with this design, and it also has this flap on the side pocket with some detailed buttons, that's the design buttons. It has an elastic waist and a jogger rope. Now this is what you are going to be learning on how to make. Now first of all, I'm going to start off with the fabric. I'm making use of a denim fabric. This is a jean fabric and it has two faces. One is black while one is the flower pattern, that's the right side. Now I'm going to start off by folding the fabric into two equal parts. After folding it into two, I'm going to mark out 2 inches. That 2 inches is the allowance that I want for the trouser. Now I'm going to mark out the hip measurement divided by 4, the front crotch extension, and I'm going to extend these lines. Now if you don't know how to get the crotch extensions, I have a detailed video on that. I'm going to be placing the video link in the description. Now here I will be leaving about 0.5 inches allowance there. I'm going to mark out the starting point, leaving half an inch allowance there, and I'm going to be taking out 1 inch for the band, and I'm going to mark out the full length of the trouser. Now after marking out the full length of the trouser, I'm going to mark out 1 inch hemming allowance. So what I'm going to mark next now is the flap, that's the hip, the crotch depth. We call it flap here. So to get this curve, I'm going to mark out 0.5 inches like that, and I'm going to just create a curve. You can as well do this without making any measurement. Now what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to be adding 0.5 inches allowance here. That's for stitching the inseam, and I'm going to cut everything to be straight. It's a palazzo trouser. So while cutting the flap area, I added my 0.5 inches allowance, and I'm going to set this one aside. Now let's cut for the back. I folded the fabric into two. I marked out 2 inches allowance. Then I mark out the hip divided by 4, and of course the back crotch extension. I'm going to mark out the back crotch extension, and I'll be adding the half an inch for inseam allowance. I'm going to extend these lines like that. And if you want your palazzo trouser to be, much bigger than this, you can go ahead and mark out your side seam allowance to be up to 3-4 inches. Now here I'm going to be marking down 1.5 inches. You can see it there. Now I'm going to place that 1.5 inches. I'm going to minus 1 inch for the band, which we did for the front. I'm going to take down the length of the trouser, and I'm going to be adding my 1 inch hemming allowance. I'm going to mark out the crotch depth, that's the flap, and to get the curve here, I'm going to be coming up by 1.5 inches in the 90-degree angle. You can see how I bent that ruler, that tape I mean to say, and I'm going to mark it out. I'm going to curve it out like that. Now, unlike the front that is straight, this one is going to be higher than the line. So I'm just going to mark it down like that. And on this end here, I'm going to be adding my half an inch, that's for joining the band to the trouser. I'm going to mark it like that. Now that's it for that upside. Now on the crotch side, I'm going to add my 0.5 inches. I did not show it earlier on the first one, but while I was cutting it out, I made sure that I added that. Now after cutting it, I have now the front and the back pattern of my trouser. Now this particular pattern, you can use this particular method to cut out trouser for an adult. It's the same thing, just place the adult's measurement. Now here I have about 9 inches, and I'm going to mark out 2 inches. What I want to cut out here now is the cargo pocket. That's what you see me marking out here. I marked out 2 inches. I'm coming down by 7 inches, and I'm going to be adding half an inch there. This is how I created the cargo pocket. So once I cut this out, I'm going to be having two. That's one on this on the left leg and one on the right leg. Now for here I have about 6 inches, and here I have about 5 inches. This is going to serve as the cargo pocket cover on the trouser. You know, some of the trousers you can make them without a cover, but this one I made it with a cover. So I'm going to set it aside. Now what I'm marking out now is the band for the rubber. That's the waistband. I marked out 3.5 inches. Now I'm going to cut out a long, because I made two pairs of this trouser. Even if I have excess, it doesn't matter because I'll still use it for the other pair of trousers. Now after cutting it out, this is it. If you don't know how to take fabric like this, please don't even try it. Don't even try it, because sometimes when you tear it, it's going to, you know, miss the line. So make sure you cut out yours with scissors. So here I have about 7 inches. Now we want to cut out the side pocket. So what you see me do here is that I place the front pattern. That's the front pattern of the trousers. I placed the two of them on top of my folded fabric. So now here I'm going to be taking away the 2 inches allowance I added earlier. Just watch carefully, you'll understand what I'm trying to do. Now I'm going to come down to the crotch line here, and I'm going to kind of create a, I won't say it's sharp triangle. It's not a sharp V, it's kind of a little curve. So I'm going to mark it out like that, and I'm going to come up by this line here. That mark you saw me do there, I'm going to come up by 1 inch, because the other one is where the cargo pocket is going to start. So I'm going to cut out this first, then I'm going to place down the trouser, and I'll continue cutting it out. Just watch carefully, you understand what I'm doing. I'm going to cut out the V. This time I'm going to cut out my front pattern as well. So once I cut it out, I have this. Now this is going to be for the left and for the right side of the leg. Now I'm going to cut out this one. I'm going to open it into two. I'm going to cut it into two. So what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to cut out another one, because I need this to be four. So I'm going to trace out everything. But this time around here is going to be straight. It's not going to be cut out in the V shape. It's going to be straight. So I'm going to cut it out like that, and I'll slit open the folded area. Now I have my complete pocket with me here, both the front and the right side and the wrong side together. So we're going to set this one aside. So what I'm going to cut out next now is that flap or that keep on top of the side pocket. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get the front pattern of the trouser. This tutorial, I made it to be a very detailed tutorial. You can see how long the video is, and of course you can see how careful and how detailed I'm trying to be. But if you are still confused and have any question, you can drop that in the comment section. Now I'm going to place that's what I cut out like this, and I'm going to mark out that placket design, that what will I even call it, that cape design. I'm going to mark it out like this. I'm going to make sure that I left half an inch. So here I'm going to divide what I have there into two, and on this other side I'm going to come up by 1 inch, and on the other side I'm going to come up by 1 inch. So from the center I'm going to go down, and I'm going to have this kind of a V, a small V shape. So what I'm going to do now is that I will have to cut this to be two, one for the front leg and one for the back leg. So here I'm going to be cutting it out. So I'm going to cut out that V shape. Just watch carefully, you understand what I'm doing. I'm going to cut it out. There are some pockets that have this kind of design, mostly on shirts. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to be cutting it out again because I want it to be two. So I'll place this one on top of the other one and I'm going to cut out exactly the same thing. Now I have four, which is what I need. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to place, before I continue, let me show you what we cut out: the trousers, the pockets, the flaps, everything, the bands. Now let's head down to sewing. So the first thing first we're going to do is to get that side pocket flap, and I'm going to place it right sides facing right sides together, as you can see, and I'm going to mark out 0.5 inches allowance throughout the flap. So I'm going to stitch it down like that, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other one. So that's what you're seeing me doing here. So once I'm done marking it out, I'll just go ahead to sew it down. So once I'm done sewing it down, I'm going to trim off the excess that I have there, because once I turn it inside out, everything is going to just lay flat. If I leave the allowance there, it's going to make it to be bulky. It's going to be big. So I'm just going to turn it to the right side so that we see how it looks. Now once turned to the right side, this is it. You can see it is neatly stitched. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to turn it to the right side as well. So if you have lightweight sewing, it is always advisable to have lightweight sewing, so that as you are sewing, you'll be ironing and your project is going to look very neat. So I'm going to top stitch round on this. So after top stitching round on it, this is what I have. So now I'm going to get the front pattern of the trouser. Now let's sew the side pocket. I'm going to get one of my trouser, and I'm going to place one of this placket on top of it like this. I'm going to leave half an inch up there, and I'm going to leave half an inch down here. So I'm going to get one of the facing, I'm going to place it like that, and I'm going to use pin to hold it down. Why I'm using pin is because I'm making tutorials, and someone that loves making clothes using freehand. I rarely do pinning, but because of this tutorial, I'm pinning it down so that it's going to be easier for a beginner. So once I'm done pinning it down, I'm going to go down to stitch it using 0.25, that's quarter of an inch. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to pin down the other side as well. So it's like I'm going to show how it was made again, but this time it's going to be on a fast forward motion. So I'm going to pin it and I'm going to stitch it down. So once I'm done stitching it down, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to open it and I'm going to top stitch on the facing. That's the facing of the pockets. Let me see if I can show you how it is. So I'm going to stitch on the facing, not on my trouser. I'm going to first of all give it a good press so that it will lay nice and flat. That's why it's good to have your iron around you, but for Niger, they get current all the time. So I'm going to top stitch on this, and while top stitching, make sure that the seam allowance is on the facing side. So we are going to get this and I'm going to pin it down to the facing. I'm going to pin it down. Remember we cut out 4 while we were cutting the side pocket. So I'm going to try my best to make this to be easy and detailed. So once I'm done pinning it down, I'm going to stitch it like this. Now once I'm done, I'll have my pockets looking exactly like this. You can see it. My pockets will look exactly like this once I'm done stitching it down. Now let me show you how I did that again. Hopefully this time it won't be confusing. So what I did is that I open it up like this. I got the other side, I placed it right side facing right side, and I pinned it down, and I will sew it like this. So once I finish stitching it down, this is what it looks like. Now what I'm going to do is that I will use a pin to hold it down so that while I'm sewing it won't leave its position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin it down so that the pocket on its own stays on its own. Now I have my 2 front trouser pattern ready. So what I'm going to do next now is that I'm going to get the back pattern of the trouser. And when I get the back pattern, I'm going to place them right sides facing right sides together like this. So what we are going to do now is to sew the side seam. I'm going to stitch down the side seam. So I'm going to pin it down, and for sewing it, I'm going to start by marking out half an inch, and once I get to the hip area, I'm going to mark it out 1 inch. Yes, you can as well leave it to be half an inch since there is going to be an elastic on the waist, but I just want to make the waist to kind of look fitted once I'm done stitching it down. So I'm going to repeat that same thing again on this other side, and I'm going to mark it out and I will stitch it down. So once I'm done stitching it down, this is what it looks like. You can see our pockets, that's the side pockets neatly laying down there, and you can see how it looks. So this is for your one leg, and here is the other leg. Now before we stitch this, we are going to make our cargo pocket. Now get the cargo pocket. I'm going to iron it out. Luckily for me today there is light, so as I was sewing, I was ironing, and it was very neat. It made me to be very happy because everything is coming out to be neat and perfect just the way I want it. So on the right side, not on the wrong side, I'm going to mark out 1 inch. I folded it into 2, and I'm going to sew it on the right side of the fabric, not on the wrong side of the fabric. So I'm going to mark out 1 inch, and on the folded side, so don't be confused, it's on the folded side. I'm going to stitch this down, and I'm going to stitch this down. So once I'm done stitching it down, I will open up the seam like this, and I'm going to give it a good press. Now this is how to create that, let's say, pleat effect on the cargo pocket. I don't actually know what it is called, but this is how I create it. So once I'm done doing one of the pockets, I'll go ahead to do it on the other that's the other pocket, the other cargo pocket for the other leg. So I'm going to lay it down and iron it. Now this is very important that you iron it because ironing it will make it look neat. As you walk, as you sew, you're sewing, everything is going to look very neat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my 1 inch into 2. So I want to take out that 2 inches I marked earlier, and I'm going to fold others just by 0.5 inch, 0.5 inch, both the sides and others. I'm going to sew it fold it 0.5 inch. Now this is what it looks like. I'm going to repeat that same thing again on this other side. So once I'm done doing that, what I'm going to do now for it to be easy for me is that, okay, first, let me just get the cargo pocket cover. I'm going to fold it into two like this, and I'm going to just stitch down half an inch here, half an inch here, half an inch here, and half an inch here. I'm going to be leaving this place open because that's where I'm going to be turning it from. So once I'm done stitching it down, I'm going to clip the edges and I'm going to turn it to the right side. So once I turn it to the right side, this is what I have. You can see it. It looks neat. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to iron it. As I'm ironing it, I'm going to be turning this one as well. Ironing it makes it to be very flat. So here I'm going to iron the other one as well. So after ironing it, I'm going to go ahead to top stitch on it. So once I'm done top stitching on it, this is what I have. You can see it. It looks beautiful and neat. So now what I'm going to do to the cargo pocket to make it a lot easier for me is that I'm going to go ahead to stitch it round. Just like the way it is now, I'm going to stitch it all the way round. And I'll do it on the other side. So once I'm done stitching it down and ironing it, it looks very neat. Now, placing it on top of the trouser won't be a problem for me. Now I'm going to make sure that I am not stitching on the side pocket. So I'm going to mark it out where it stops so that I won't be stitching on it. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to get the cargo pocket. Because I've already stitched it all the way around, it's not going to be a work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it and I make sure that it's in the center. It's in the center of the side seam of the trouser. So I'm going to pin everything down. So I'm going to stitch it like this. Now before I stitch it, I'm going to add the cargo pocket cover. So I'm going to place it down like this and I'm going to pin it as well. Now I'm going to stitch the side pockets by 0.25 inches. So once I'm done, this is what it looks like. Now this is how the cargo pocket covers the pocket. There is no light anymore. They have taken our lights. I have to do with my hand because if there is still light, I would have used iron to iron it. So once I'm done doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to open up the seam allowance and I'm going to hem the trousers. So I'm going to hem it down and I'm going to stitch it down. I'll be doing the same thing on the other leg as well. I'm going to fold in my 1 inch and I'm going to stitch it down. Now this is what it looks like. So this is what it looks like and I'm going to now hold it together like this. So what I'm going to do next now is that I'm going to pin down the inseam and I'm going to stitch down the inseam using the 0.5 inches allowance that I marked out while I was marking out the pattern. So after stitching it down, I have this. I'm going to turn one to the right side. Only one of the leg, I'm going to turn it to the right side. Now this is it. The trouser is already, coming together. So what I'm going to do now is that this cape here for the front, for the side pocket, I'm going to pin it down so that while sewing, I won't end up stitching it where it's not supposed to be. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other leg as well. Now this is it. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to get the other leg and I'm going to first of all pin down that side placket so that I will end up stitching it where it's not supposed to be. Now this is the front of the trouser and this is the front of the other trouser. I'm going to tuck this in. Just watch carefully. I'm going to put it in like this because I want to get the right sides facing right sides together. So this is how I do mine. I don't know how others do theirs, but this is how I do mine. So here I have the trousers right sides facing right sides together. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to hold it down like this. I want to stitch down the crotch line. I want to stitch them down. So I want to make sure that these inseams are matched up together, and I'm going to pin it down. You can as well spread the seam allowance, or you just make it in a way that it won't be big there. And I'm going to stitch it down using the 0.5 inches allowance I added while cutting it. Now after stitching it down, I'm going to bring everything to the right side. Our trouser is already down. What is remaining now is the band and the rubber band. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. But before I do that, let's observe the trouser. Now this is it. This is how it looks now. The side pockets, the cargo pockets, the hem, everything is perfect. You can see it. So now I'm going to turn it back to the wrong side. So this time I want to stitch down I want to pin down the allowance that I have on the pocket, so that if I'm attaching the band, I won't make mistake there. So now this is it. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to get that rope that I created. I don't that piece of fabric that I cut out, the one that I cut out to be 3.5 inches in length. So now here I'm going to fold it into two. When I fold it into two, I have about 1.75 inches. So now this is the center back. I'm going to mark out half an inch on my band, and I'm going to pin it to the seam, the back seam. I'm going to pin it, and I'm going to go ahead and pin this band all the way through the waist. I'm going to pin it all the way through the waist. So I'm going to fast it a little bit so that I won't waste much of your time. So once I get back to the back seam, I'm going to leave extra 0.5 inches, and I'm going to cut out the other one. Remember I told you that I'm making two pair of this trouser, so I'll make use of the other one for the other pair of trouser. Now I'm going to place this together right side facing right side, and I'm going to stitch down that half an inch that I added. Once I'm done stitching it down, this is it. I'm going to open it up like this, pin it down, and I'm going to pin it to the back stitch. That's the center of the back. I'm going to pin it down. Now to stitch it down to the waist, I'm going to be leaving about 2 inches open. You can see it like that. I'm going to stitch from here, and I'm going to stop here. So once I'm done doing that, look at the opening that I have. I've cut out my elastic. If, for example, I take away 2 to 3 inches of the actual waist measurement while cutting out the elastic, depends on how stretchy the elastic is. You determine how to cut. You're not going to cut out exactly the waist measurement, because if you do, it's not going to hold. So once I bring out this other side, I'm going to make sure that the elastic is staying properly. If not, you have it twisted inside, and it's going to be another work for you. So I'm going to make sure that it's okay and I'm going to pin it down. Then after pinning it down, I'm going to stitch it down using 1/2 inch. Now this is it. I'm going to go ahead on my sewing machine and stitch up that 2 inches opening I had there. So I'm going to stitch it down. So once I'm done stitching it down, you can see how it looks. So what next I'm going to do now is that I'm going to top stitch on this. I'm going to run 2 sewings on this. I'm going to mark it out so that you see it. Now that opening in the center, that's where the rope, the jogger's rope will pass through. So after top stitching 2 lines on this, this is what I have. Now this trouser is already done. At this particular moment, I have not bought the rope and I have not gone to the market to do the buttons because I don't have the machine they used to make that. So what I'm going to do next now is that I'm going to add the jogger's rope and the buttons. I'm going to add one at the placket and one at the cargo pockets. Now this is the final looks of the tutorial. Do you like it? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, comment if you have any question, and also drop a nice comment for me. Until my next tutorial, happy sewing.